What's up, guys? We finally have our first fight card of 2026, UFC 324, UFC's first card on Paramount Plus, and we have an absolute banger for our first main event. Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim lightweight title, and I think this fight has some potential to be an absolute war. I think we've seen both guys are always getting bonuses. Paddy Pimblett has two fights where he didn't get a bonus, and they were still entertaining fights. Justin Gaethje, same thing, has been in some wars, had many fight of the nights, performance bonuses, and just two fights where he didn't get a bonus were when he fought Oliveira and Khabib, and those were still entertaining fights. I'm seeing a lot of people are picking Paddy Pimblett. I'm seeing a lot of fighters are picking Paddy Pimblett. I'm seeing the sports books are leaning Paddy Pimblett. He's at minus 250. Gaethje's a plus 200 underdog, but honestly, I like Gaethje as an underdog. I think I worry about the talks about retirement and that's been talked about heading into this fight, that this could be his last fight. His coach said that if he doesn't win this fight, he's probably going to retire. You never want to hear those things from a fighter going into a fight. And then there's also the over 35 rule with championship fights where I think it's under 185 or 205. If you're over the age of 35, you don't win. It just, the only ones who have won are Alex Volkanovski and Tyron Woodley. Everyone else over the age of 35 fighting for a championship does not win in the UFC. It's a crazy statistic, but you can't argue with a stat like that. So this could be Justin Gaethje's retirement fight here. Now, stylistically, I think these guys match up very well. I think both of their strengths play into each other's weaknesses. I think cardio we can give to Justin Gaethje. We've seen him in some wars, some dog fights. I don't remember ever really seeing him gas. He also trains at altitude. Paddy, we saw maybe gas a little bit in that Tony Ferguson fight late in the third round, but then he maybe improved it when he fought Chandler. He seemed like he had great cardio for that fight in the third round, so maybe he improved that, but I'm still going to give the cardio to Gaethje. Both guys throw a lot of leg kicks. I think Gaethje is probably the best leg kicker in MMA or top three easily. Now, Paddy throws a lot of leg kicks too, but I feel like we've seen Paddy hit with some leg kicks that maybe affected him in fights, and that might be an area that Gaethje could exploit. Definitely will be something both guys are trying to land. We'll see who kind of lands the more significant leg kicks first. Now, both guys have always been very hittable. Both guys are not afraid to give a punch, to land a punch. Both guys are always getting hit in their fights, and that also brings in durability. Both guys are very durable. Both guys have pretty good chins. We've seen Gaethje lose a couple fights. We've yet to see Paddy stopped, but the thing with that is Gaethje's fought way higher level of competition, and he's fought some of the Hall of Famers like the who's who at 155. For the last 10 years, he's also been fighting the top five. So the level of competition definitely goes to Gaethje. You can't argue with that, but this is the big step up here for Paddy Pimblett, and it seems like with every fight, he's seeming much improved, and as he gets more comfortable, gets better with his skills in the cage, he's definitely showing that he's a pretty high level fighter. I think the days of underestimating Paddy Pimblett are over. You got to put some respect on his name, and you know that his striking a little unorthodox, chins in the air, it's effective. He's winning. He hasn't lost yet in the UFC, and you know you look at Conor McGregor, had his chin pretty high and was a little unorthodox, and he kept winning. I'm seeing a lot of similarities between him and Paddy. Now, I don't think Paddy is going to be as big as Conor McGregor, but there's definitely similar appeal. And I'm seeing a lot of similarities between the two. Now, you could say the wrestling goes to Gaethje. I think he's an All American. Now, you can't sleep on Paddy's wrestling, though. I think he doesn't have the credentials of Justin Gaethje, but we've seen Paddy's wrestling be effective in the UFC. We saw him take down Chandler a few times. We saw him take down Tony Ferguson a few times. And both of those guys, maybe Gaethje's got better wrestling than Ferguson, but probably a similar level. I think Chandler was a one-time All-American. I think Gaethje's the same. So similar, but I do know that Gaethje was a better defensive wrestler, so I'll lean wrestling, obviously, to Gaethje, but then scrambling, we've seen Gaethje get in trouble. We've seen him have some high-level scrambles. We've also seen him get in trouble with the scrambles where he gives up his back to stand up. We saw Oliveira and Khabib take advantage of that, and I definitely think the jiu-jitsu advantage in this fight goes to Paddy. Now, is Paddy the level of Oliveira or Khabib? No, but he's definitely a high-level grappler. He's got some high-level jiu-jitsu, and I think that might be an area that he could exploit on Gaethje. He definitely has the advantage there. So I would think Gaethje by decision, maybe a late TKO, but that over 35 rule always plays in my head whenever I see it. Gaethje is 37, Paddy is 31, so that statistic is hard to argue with. So I'm seeing a lot of people are leaning Paddy by TKO. I'm seeing a lot of people leaning Paddy by submission. The sports books are definitely thinking that. So it's a tough pick. I'm rooting for Gaethje. I'm definitely rooting for Gaethje. I like Gaethje. Gaethje smokes weed. He does shrooms. I've interviewed him a few times. He's always been very cool. So I'm definitely going to root for Gaethje here. But Paddy's grown on me. I can't lie. He's definitely grown on me. Like I said, I think the days of underestimating Paddy are over. I think he's very highly skilled. I think the striking's unorthodox, but he makes it work. And undefeated so far. So I saw Justin Gaethje say with this fight, he's going to do the same thing he did with Tony Ferguson, where they were about to have Tony Ferguson versus Khabib, and he threw the monkey wrench in. I think right now, Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Toporia's on the back burner. He's going to try to throw the monkey wrench into that. So he's definitely motivated for this fight. I think Gaethje had a good training camp. I saw some speculation that maybe he had Mercer or staff or something, but let's hope not for that. He always comes in shape, so he's definitely coming in to put a beating on Paddy Pimblett. The question is Paddy that good? Because this is the step up in competition we've been waiting for. You kind of can't take the Chandler fight as him really fighting top five or one of the best, because I think Chandler kind of really hurt himself with waiting for Conor. Also, I don't think Chandler, while was a Bellator champion, I don't think he was really a top five guy in the UFC. So this is definitely the big step up for Paddy. Now, is the winner of this fight going to be fighting Ilia, or is someone else going to step in? So that's like the biggest thing that I wonder with this fight is what's going to happen for the winner. Not so much, well, obviously what's going to happen in the fight, but really what's going to happen to the winner. Is Ilia going to be done with the baby mama drama, or is Arman going to step in and fight the winner? Is the winner of Max versus Oliveira going to step in and fight the winner? Like, if the winner of Max versus Oliveira wins spectacular fashion, they could easily jump the line. I think this should have been Arman's title fight, but we saw Arman punch a fan, headbutt Dan Hooker, and then I think he really put a bad taste in the UFC's mouth when he pulled out of the Islam fight. Now, whether it was a weight issue or a bad back, he still left a bad taste in the UFC's mouth. That I think that's why he wasn't in this title fight. But we've seen recently Arman's definitely raising his profile by doing all this media and doing all these podcasts and all these interviews and getting more into his social media presence, that I think now the UFC is going to start looking at him as a bigger star. So he's earning his title shot outside of the cage. So I think he'll be in a title fight this year. I do think, too, if Ilia doesn't rush back and isn't back within 6 months, it will be Arman versus the winner of this fight. But again, like I said, the winner of Max versus Oliveira could easily jump the line as well, because the rankings don't matter. We've seen this now. The rankings, it's kind of a popularity contest. It's also a timing contest. Like, if they call you up and you don't take the fight, they move on to the next guy. That's just the way the UFC works. That's the way they've always worked, and it's unfortunate, but is what it is. So 155 is definitely looking stacked right now. I'm really interested to see what happens with the winner of this fight. I'm hoping it's Gaethje. I don't want to see Gaethje retire, but at the same time, if he retires and Paddy Pimblett wins this, we got the potential for some super fights. Paddy Pimblett versus Arman, huge international fight, as well as Paddy Pimblett versus Elia, which would, I think, be huge. And I think those type of fights just make the sport bigger. So, you know, there's good and the bad with that. But I'm rooting for Justin Gaethje. If I got to pick, I'm going to go Gaethje by decision. I think Gaethje gets it done. I think he fights smart. I think he wins the stand-up exchanges. I think he's able to thwart off Paddy's takedown attempts. And I think he defies the odds in this fight. And over 35 at the age of 37, he will get the victory over Paddy Pimblett. That's what I'm rooting for. That's what I'm hoping for. I like him at plus 200. I might sprinkle a little something on that. But let me know what you guys think. Who do you think is going to win this fight? Who are you rooting for to win this fight? Are you betting any money on this fight? And let me know in the comments. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you watch this video, I really appreciate you. And I'll see you next time. Well, see you later.